Good afternoon. My name is Ces Butner, and I have the honor to serve as this year's president of Rotary Club of Oakland. Founded in 1908, the Rotary Club of Oakland is the third oldest Rotary Club of some 35,000 Rotary clubs throughout the world. We are a community of 300 men and women from all walks of Oakland civic, commercial, and community life committed to the Rotary motto of service above self. I'd like to welcome you to our 5,331st club meeting. For over 111 years, we have welcomed Rotarians and guests from around the world to our club meetings. We continue to do so virtually. So if you're a visiting Rotarian or if you're a guest of a Rotarian, please let us know by typing your name and the name of your club into the chat box located at the center bottom of the screen as indicated by the red arrow on the slide you're viewing now. By doing so, we will be able to recognize you later in this meeting. Also, we recommend that all participants view this Zoom meeting by clicking the Speaker View button located in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And if you have any comments throughout the meeting or questions for the speaker, please use the chat button at the bottom of the screen for that as well. And now, for our thought for the day, Rotarian Lewis Griggs.
Good morning, President Ces. I want to honor your help in bringing the first Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee to life in our club with the following three thoughts to help us enhance our consciousness as we each get involved in it as we desire. You can't teach what you don't know. You can't take people where you yourself won't go. That was Malcolm X. And here's another one. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. That was James Baldwin. And Angela Davis said, I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept. So take those in as we all expand our own consciousness to be able to serve beyond ourselves even better.
Thank you, Lewis, for setting the tone for our meeting with that reflective thought. I like that. Because we want to remain grounded and focused, we begin our meetings by jointly reciting our vision, which is, together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. I hope you enjoyed last week's meeting where we had a special tribute to women on behalf of Women's History Month and International Women's Day that featured our own trio of women, each announcing a different aspect of our club. This week, we'll try to relax a bit from our usual chock-full announcement meetings to bring back the breakout room, where you can fellowship and get caught up with a few Rotarians, just as we did when we met in person. Speaking of which, Alameda County has just moved us to red tier designation, which inches us closer to resuming in-person meetings. President-elect Dudley has a committee that is working on this and will be announcing sooner than we thought a plan for gradually getting back to in-person meetings with yours truly actually standing at the podium in the ballroom, ready to have this meeting like we used to do. Finally, I'll remind you once again my challenge to you for the second half of the year of gaining new members. Bringing in a new member, help me out. Many of you have stepped up already, but I just want you to encourage you to bring in a new member and share what Rotary Service Above Self does for all of us. Now it's time to sit back and enjoy another in our great Civic Thursday meetings, where you can catch a great speaker and get involved with Rotary, where service above self exists. Past District Governor Ed Yellen, Do we have any visiting Rotarians or guests?
Indeed, we do, President Ces. It's my pleasure to welcome from the Rotary Club of San Leandro, Diane Dorn, who's going to be Assistant Governor for Area 1A next year. So she's going to be very busy. Nice to have you with us, Diane. Welcome to Oakland Rotary.
Thank you, Ed, and welcome all guests. Diane's becoming a regular member here. I think you'll have to join us then before long, Diane. We have a tradition here, a transitioning our red badge new members to blue badge, which fully engaged member, which when that member completes certain tasks, they have to go through new member orientation. They have to join a committee, make a giving commitment to the Rotary Foundation and the Oakland Rotary Endowment. And finally, they have to give their 3-minute self-introduction. Today, we have Rotarian Daniel Freeman giving his 3-minute introduction. Daniel.
All right, thank you, President Ces and fellow Rotarians, for welcoming me into this club and this opportunity to share with you. I've been part of a few different Rotary clubs over the years, and Oakland number 3 has got to be the most impressive club. I can't wait either until we can start meeting in person. I was trying to think of the best word to describe my life, and I think that word would be adventure. It was certainly a venture when we lived in a remote Canadian Arctic town where my dad was an English teacher. It was an adventure when we immigrated to the United States in the mid-70s. The outdoors has always been a favorite adventure for me, from being an Olympic level bicycle track racer to kayak surfing, scuba diving, sailing, from running marathons in Alaska to nighttime cross-country skiing, winter backpacking, to the latest adventures of my extended solo hikes through the Sierras. My adventures have included being charged by a bear, chased by multiple times by a moose, dive bombed by a bald eagle, intimidated by a herd of wild mountain sheep, slapped by a salmon, threatened by a bull seal, harassed by squirrels, chipmunks, marmots, pikas, and mosquitoes, and lunged at by an angry beaver. Our family has been an adventure. We've been married for over 32 years now. We have lived in 3 more countries, 9 different states, and 15 different cities. We have 3 adult girls. Our eldest is married and has our 3 grandchildren, and they're also Salvation Army officers up in Seattle, Washington. My middle daughter is an elementary school teacher for the Alaska Native School in Anchorage, and our youngest daughter graduates this year from Oregon State University, go Beavers, with a degree in forestry engineering. And for the last 20 years, my wife and I have been teammates on a great adventure with the Salvation Army. We've dealt with meth crisis in Bremerton, Washington, cared for seniors in Cologne, Germany, operated a store, a medical clinic, a dental clinic, and a daycare in Kalispell, Montana. We operated family shelters, food banks, thrift stores, and a high school for parenting and pregnant teen girls in Boise, Idaho. We traveled Alaska by airline, air taxi, ferries, ATV, snow machine, National Guard cargo planes, and Black Hawk helicopters to get to remote communities where the Salvation Army serves. We have risked our lives daily traveling the freeways of Southern California to manage the business and the programs down there. We have a whole new adventure now, running the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center here on 6th Street in Webster in Oakland. It's a 130-bed facility for men trapped in their addictions, mired in homelessness, disenfranchised from their communities, their jobs, and their families. And we take these men who have had no hope and show them the potential of a life free from the shackles of their addictions. Let me tell you, dealing with men who have been institutionalized for the majority of their lives or have been fighting for survival on the streets every day is an adventure at the Oakland ARC. Thank you for letting me share with you.
That's quite an introduction, 3-minute introduction. Thank you, Daniel. And when we return to in-person meetings, your shiny new blue badge will be indicating your completion of permanent member requirements is waiting on you.
Great.
Congratulations. Congratulations. We are inducting a new member today, and he will be introduced by Rotarian Joe Parrott. Interesting facts about our newest Rotarian, Joe Parrott.
There we go. Okay.
All
You know,
right.
I'm happy to sponsor and introduce Nick DeHasia. We have been working together for 15 years, over 15 years at the Oakland Zoo. And starting with the California Trail Project as project manager, that's how he started at the zoo. And then we promoted him to CFO. And then after that to Vice President of Business Operations. And after that to Executive Vice President. And Nick has recently been appointed as my replacement as new CEO of the Oakland Zoo to start in 3 weeks. Rotary will be picking up a great new member for Rotary. He's a high energy, shows tremendous initiative. He's a really sharp guy, and he's extremely community focused. And I think Nick really embodies everything Rotary stands for, including inclusion and diversity, which you just mentioned. So Nick lives in Alameda. He's a bicycle enthusiast, and I'm just really proud to sponsor Nick as a new member of Oakland Rotary number 3.
Thank you, Joe. And Nick, we are happy that you have chosen to join us and please know that your family and friends are always welcome to join us and participate in our projects and events. By accepting membership, you have adopted our vision, and you also agree to conduct your affairs according to the Rotary full-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? You will receive a Rotary pin, and we hope you will wear it with pride and find pleasure and fulfillment by attending meetings, participating in our service activities, practicing service above self, and by contributing to the Rotary Foundation and the Oakland Rotary Endowment. So now it is my pleasure and privilege and honor to induct you as our newest member of the Rotary Club of Oakland. Let's give our newest member a warm Rotary welcome.
Hey, Nick.
And mute everybody so they can say yay for a while.
Go.
Stay on, Joel.
Hey,
Right?
Nick, welcome. Good to see you.
All right.
Thank you,
Welcome,
everybody.
High Adventure Chair, Mark Rosen, I believe you have an announcement for us.
Good afternoon, everyone. I sent out an email telling you that today is Johnny Appleseed Day. Did anyone bring their apples? Did they? I brought mine. Look, I got mine. I got all sorts of apples. In fact, I've got some apples here for someone that sent in a recipe to look delicious, and I'll show it to you in your slide. So let's talk about Johnny Appleseed. Can I have my presentation up? Johnny Appleseed Day. I think that everyone knows who Johnny Appleseed is, I think, and he was a real person. And he really did travel across the United States in byways planting apples. Can I have the next slide? And here are some ways that you can celebrate Johnny Appleseed Day, which are kind of cool. That you can visit your local orchard, learn about the trees. You can eat some fruit. And remember, when I say fruit, it means avocado, kumquats, lemons, limes, anything that's in season. You can celebrate today, Johnny Appleseed Day. All right, let me have the next slide. What was the purpose of the apple planting by Johnny Appleseed? Can anyone put something in the chat and tell me what it was?
Yeah.
Come on. I'm looking for some good answers.
Cider.
A hint. No, wait a minute. I've given you a hint. Dudley is the hint. Dudley is a hint. So just think about Dudley for a second. And someone wrote booze. Very close. It is. Okay, let's have the next slide. Spence is killing us. It was to make hard cider. Applejack. Everyone thinks that Johnny Appleseed was out there making apples so we could have delicious apples. No, they were bitter little things. No one wanted to eat them. And give me the next slide, if you could. And Applejack actually was America's first spirit. Think about that. Popular in the American colonies, it was a drink, and it declined in the 19th and 20th century because other things came on. But Lars Applejack, I think, is the preferred Applejack. I think that's what Dudley has. And I'm going to put something in here in a minute. Give me the last slide. I think the last slide here. I'll do this really quick. And here is the recipe that someone sent in. Does that look good? Yes, what do you think?
That looks perfect.
That looks perfect. And if someone wants that recipe, I'll send it to them. But I want to let anyone know about this is that who sent it to me was not a Rotarian.
Huh?
Yeah, wasn't a Rotarian. It was a former Rotarian.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it was Yvette Davis, and she sent it to me and says, "Can I still win the prize?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Prize? Yeah, she's going to get a dozen apples."
Very good.
Anyway, that's it for High Adventure, Ces.
Thank you so much for that announcement and reminding us about Johnny Appleseed Day. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, Alameda County has moved to the red tier of shelter in place health emergency order. And as such, we have been closer to in-person meetings and return to normalcy. As we go into our breakout rooms for a little fellowship, you might want to consider pluses and minuses this year of COVID has brought us and how we might want to move forward with Rotary. Sandeepa, you want to put us in breakout rooms for 7 minutes or so? Please. Somebody will.
Hey, Sandeepa, you want me to go ahead and share my screen for breakout session and play a little background music for like the live stream?
The music is not loud enough. I can't hear music.
Okay. We got everybody back, I think,
Yeah.
trickling in here. All right. Rotarian Allison Bliss, will you do the honor of introducing this week's Civic Thursday speaker? If she's back. Hopefully she is. Allison, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Well, I want to just say thank you, Ces. It's my pleasure to introduce Michael Tchong, an accomplished author, entrepreneur, futurist, and adjunct professor of innovation at the University of San Francisco. After founding 4 companies that rode powerful new waves, including desktop publishing, CRM, and digital marketing, Michael is now a prolific content creator who publishes 4 of the most fascinating blogs that you're ever going to read. So you know, I posted a link on our Facebook page for anyone who's interested. His 3rd book, Uber Trends, was published in 2019, and Michael's working on his 4th, Lockdown, True Story, How the Novel Coronavirus Escaped Wuhan, China, and Terrorized the World. His motto is, I help you catch the next wave before it catches you. Okay, we're ready. Transport us, Michael.
Well, thank you very much, Allison. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Rotary Club of Oakland, for asking me to speak. This is fantastic. As I told Allison, this will be my first Rotary Club exposure, believe it or not. Yeah, so pretty amazing, right? I'm going to share my screen now so you can take a look at my beautiful slides. And here we go. We will press play and we will get going. So good morning. It's my task today to open your eyes, broaden your vistas, and help you see the big picture. Forecasting the future can be a hazardous job, but there are a lot of tea leaves floating in our immediate past that point to a fascinating future. I'm sure you will agree with me that life has become a roller coaster ride. So allow me to take you on a roller coaster ride of the landscape of now. The past year has been crazy, don't you agree? Last year, everyone was fighting over masks and PPE. This year, we're fighting over scarce vaccines. Last year, no one had a clue. Well, let me put it this way. Few had a clue what Zoom was. And now we're all suffering from Zoom fatigue, right? Unless, of course, something fun happens like this particular meeting.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to
can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that.
I can see that you're not a cat. It's hilarious, isn't it? It's hilarious. So the latest darling of the tastemaker said is Clubhouse, which is an invite-only audio chat program that has taken the market by storm. Unfortunately, you need an iPhone right now to join because that's it. It's iOS only. But inside Clubhouse, you will hear leading edge discussion about all the latest buzz topics. And one that has everyone's imagination. In fact, it was mentioned by Al Roker this week, mercilessly on the Today Show, are NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. I'm sure you've heard about this. What they are is essentially a unique way of identifying digital art. Like this highlight clip known as a moment showing a LeBron James dunk which sold for more than $200,000 on NBA Top Shot. Take a look.
You shoot 38% going downtown. Here comes LBJ! Look out!
Now, you're probably going to wonder, wait a minute, isn't this video clip available to everyone? Yeah, but I guess the NFT is unique to you, and therefore that makes it valuable, and the market has gone crazy. People have spent as much as $8 million buying artwork, and I know you're going to tell me, Michael, this is crazy, but this is what our market has become. These phenomena are all part of an uber trend I call the digital lifestyle, the marriage of man and machine. We're converging with technology. And the first offspring of this marriage is social media, which can be very entertaining. Isn't that hilarious? See, nothing is out of reach if you set your mind to it. That's the message of this video. Besides funny child videos, social media users love to share memes. And you know what a meme is, right? Some letters on top of an image or video. And my favorite shelter-in-place meme was the one starring Jack Nicholson. A couple of weeks in isolation with the family. What could go wrong? It was hilarious, and it shows you how we tend to share our sentiments across this digital medium. But social media also births movements that help create greater national solidarity, like Black Lives Matter, which was ignited using a very simple method, a hashtag, BLM. And those hashtags and movements have had very big effects on the market. The ripple effects of this societal upheaval can still be felt to this day. As you can see from this quote, the Buy Black initiative has met with great success, judging by Macy's and Ulta's product line offerings. And through social media, we can learn about or be exposed to massively sophisticated new technologies like AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, employed by this site, myheritage.com, where you can submit your own vintage photograph and amaze your family, because it uses artificial intelligence to liven up that vintage photo, and it is pretty remarkable when you see it, right? And don't forget to upload your DNA while you're at it. So what did we learn from this year of the pandemic? Besides the fact that 2020 was very bad, would not recommend. While this is a spoof of a bad restaurant review, the restaurant business is driven by a very positive long-term trend. If I was the owner of the 7 Mile House in Brisbane, I would make sure to stay on top of market trends. And as you can see, the long-term trend of the takeout food business, or the food expenditures away from home, is the way the Fed likes to call it, the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, is very positive and is not likely to reverse. In fact, you may have heard that there is massive pent-up demand to eat out at restaurants. I saw the story in SF Gate about everybody going to the House of Prime Rib. It wasn't, of course, very busy, but at the same time, it was people turning out because they had missed it a lot. I also would pay attention to this remarkable change in consumer attitudes regarding takeout. You know, Google Trends uncovered this fundamental change that is going to, of course, account for a much bigger share of your future business if you are in the restaurant business. I would also copy ideas from big restaurant chains like Taco Bell, which introduced its Go Mobile design, which features 2 drive-through lanes, one for priority, one for people that use the Taco Bell app, and think TSA pre-line for food. So what I do is I show you these things and I say, can you borrow concepts from these ideas? Because, you know, obviously the national chains have a lot of research, a lot of money, but a lot of these things can be made applied to smaller businesses or organizations as well. Consumer interest in outdoor dining is likely to remain very strong in the near future. We have already seen San Francisco setting a trend with its parklet outdoor dining concept. How can you expand upon that? By the way, this preference for outdoor activities will also benefit the Oakland Zoo, of course, because again, people are searching for these new activities that expose them to fresh air more than indoor air. And then if someone approaches you to be the virtual kitchen for Mr. Beast Burger, don't hang up. Mr. Beast has 55 million followers on YouTube, okay? And he started literally this Mr. Beast burger chain. He started with 300 restaurants virtually overnight. And he has sold in less than 2 months, more than 1 million burgers. So you can see here the interaction between social media and this whole virtual dining concept, which is being propagated and helped by these startups that are doing this for kitchens. Basically, a decentralization trend of functions. So if you are running a business that relies on providing food service to someone else, you can now decentralize that and offload that on startups like NextBite, which received 120 million in venture capital funding this past October and is also based in the Bay Area. So what this all kind of points to is what Starbucks Chairman Howard Schultz alluded to back in 2016 when he said, loyalty, technology, and innovation are continuing to fuel our digital flywheel. Digital flywheel, this is a restaurant for heaven's sakes. What is he talking about? Well, that tells you what the formula for success is going to have to be for businesses or organizations that want to remain ahead of the market. You know, and it brings up a really good question. I'm going to ask the room here, what business are you in? Are you in the food business? Are you in the zoo business? No, we're all in technology. Really, we are, which of course is welcome news for Sandeepa and Mark, right? The way I say, everybody, look, you have a common base layer of technology, Zoom, for example. And that is shared by everyone. Your end product may be different, but the reality is that common and shared business layer of technology is what you need to absolutely excel at, because that is what's going to differentiate your particular business from someone else's. And that's why I say you need to be ahead of the curve. So we have seen tremendous change in this past year. I believe that it's more than 3 times of the development that occurred in normal times. People compressed huge amounts of business. The best example I can possibly give you is the fact that we have 3 vaccines in less than a year, which is a remarkable feat, because vaccines can take as long as 40, 50 years to produce in normal times. So that, again, gives you an idea of how time compressed the area has become. And we're going to see a lot more of this because a huge new wave is coming. I'm sure you've heard of this whole clean energy initiative from the government. which spurred GM to switch its entire product line to the electronic vehicle line by 2035. I don't know about you, but this is going to send huge ripple waves across the entire sector, and it will affect everything from gas stations to automobile repair shops, you name it. It's going to change. And that change is going to happen almost as quickly as the internet did way back in 1994. Because remember, in 1997, very few people knew what the internet was, which had started just 3 years early. So keep in mind on this, this is a huge amount of opportunity. We got a preview of this back in October when that hog, that gas hog of a Hummer was introduced by GMC as a whole new electronic vehicle super truck, which presages a whole new future of zero emissions. And that is something that, again, is going to change. So I tell everybody, you know, hey, you need to think about how your business is going to change. You're going to be more, you have to be more inclusive and hire, for example, a Santa Anderson, who is a digital diesel truck mechanic, because this is the business and this is what it's going to look like. By the way, only 1 in 10 workers in the automobile industry is a woman. So keep that in mind, and that is going to change a lot, right? So again, if you are a considered purchase business like an auto repair shop or someone who sells or repairs computers or what have you, you are already seeing huge changes in the consumer businesses from startups like Affirm, which allow your consumers or your customers to purchase now and pay later. Affirm had a huge amount of buzz. I don't know if you remember, but back in January, it went public at $90 a share, which valued it at $15 billion, and now it is worth about $35 billion. So again, we're seeing these cool startups that are appealing to Generation Y and Z, millennials or digital natives respectively, and this is what you need to think about as providing to your business. Now, why would I highlight a facility like Affirm? It's because in my book, I wrote about this research study that found that administrative innovation, believe it or not, contributes more to the sales bottom line than any other type of innovation. Wow. Administrative innovation contributes more to the bottom line than any type of other innovation. And you know that we live in a world full of RFPs and purchase orders and client estimates. And you know as well as I do, all of these things are still produced in very cumbersome ways, take too much time, and you're keeping your customer waiting. So that's an innovation challenge that we need to solve. So then you've got this confluence of the digital lifestyle, which is teaching your customer all about these new values, because as technology becomes more tightly interwoven with the fabric of life, you can see that your customer is really much more interested in convergence, connectivity, and convenience. These are 3 values that are addressed by Starbucks, right? Because Starbucks has free Wi-Fi connectivity. It has convenience, 32,000 stores worldwide, very close by, and it has convergence. It offers a place for you to have coffee and have a meeting, which is why Starbucks has become the default offsite conference room for many a business and organization. So again, this is what's going to permeate the fabric of our future, and you need to deal with it. And the way I recommend you think about innovation is not you have to be Steve Jobs and come up with the iPod or the iPhone. No, no, no. Start simple. Start using innovative tools. Start using innovative marketing, and you will already have become an innovator. And that is why. So now the question you have is, Michael, well, what's an innovative tool? Well, unfortunately, I'm a tool lover. I'm a hacker. And I can't recommend too many innovative tools, but I'll highlight two for you that I believe represent the future. One is a San Francisco startup, of course, called Airtable. Take a look at how it works.
Welcome to Airtable. Airtable is a flexible collaboration platform. Let's imagine that you're planning a large conference. With Airtable, you can organize and execute high-level projects and their accompanying tasks, all in one place. This is an Airtable base, your centralized tool for project management. A base is where you can keep all of the information relating to your event, including projects and tasks. Separating these into different tables gives you the space to flesh out their own unique details. For example, the projects table includes key information like project leads, budgets, approvals, and more. The tasks table contains the individual tasks that contribute to the overall projects. Here, find details specific to these, including completion statuses, effort levels, key dates, and more. Project.
Okay, so I have nothing to do with Airtable. I'm just showing you an application that I believe points to the future of user interface design. So you can see there's multicolored little tags that you can tag items with. There is star ratings. What she didn't really highlight is that those two tables, projects and tasks, are actually a relational database. So you don't have to do double entry. You just enter it once as a task, and then it'll be reflected in your project. This is a very powerful concept. For those of you who go back far enough, you may remember companies like RIM and DBase that broke into the market in the 80s with relational databases. It's a very powerful concept. And that's what makes it a Google Sheets on steroids. And also what I like about it is that besides being able to do most of what Google Sheets does, it also has an audit trail. You can collaborate, you can chat, and you can have an audit trail of the changes made. Another fascinating startup is Notion. Again, Notion is a, heavily hundreds of millions of dollars of venture capital. But what I like about it is that it combines spreadsheets, documents, everything together. And it's very popular among TikTok users, believe it or not, because they're putting up these pinup boards with concerts or what have you. But here is a more business-like example of that. A friend of mine put together an industry calendar. This is something that you can build for your customers, clientele's members that is a service and that reinforces your brand. And again, you also see how an innovative product works and what you need to be on top of the market. Now, the message is no longer how long you've been in business, you're going to be a startup. And that is true. And by the way, small business in this context means less than 500 employees. So it applies to many organizations. In fact, the majority of organizations in the US. And that is something that we need to really focus on. So what is your primary concern after coming out of the pandemic? You are looking to secure new customers. That is the number one top concern for 21 cited by small business owners. And that is, again, a very key aspect of the future that we need to mitigate. I know there are a lot of people asking, how are we going to go back to the future? How is behavior going to be modified? Well, it is going to be modified. But as you well know, people suffer from short-term memory. So in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of people looking for takeout, hygiene, fitness, and all of those things that they proclaimed they were addicts of and fans of during the pandemic. But then it's going to slowly slide away, to quote that famous song. So again, keep in mind, there will be effects of the, washing hands and things like that will probably stay with people much longer than you might expect. But I also think that we're going to slip into our normal procedures pretty quickly as well. Now, I mentioned to you, how can you be a business-to-business outfit, for example, and offer the same functionality as the consumer-facing businesses do with Affirm and Klarna, which are these two buy now and pay later facilities. Well, guess what? Credit Key is an LA-based startup that offers B2B type of financing to B2B customers. So let's say that you are in a restaurant supply business and you offer kitchens and kitchen equipment to your customers. Your Credit Key in the future will be able to fund those purchases. And again, these are startups that are solving huge pain points that are going to facilitate business in the future. And I love that. I think that's really fascinating to see. Of course, there is that other Uber trend that I need to cover, and that is time compression. I track 8 Uber trends, but you don't have time for that because you're all suffering from time compression. I don't need to tell you, life is going faster these days, and time compression is all about the acceleration of life. And it has a very wide-ranging impact on society. One is we just don't have time for anything anymore. We're all suffering from too busy disorder, right? So the average time spent on a web page reading your too long web copy is 75 seconds. And if you want to see the ultimate expression of the instant gratification trend that we're all suffering from, take a look at this survey from Google, which found that searches for Open Now have tripled in the past 2 years, while searches for store hours have dropped. What is the consumer telling you? I don't care when you're open. Are you open now? So again, it exemplifies the direction the market is headed in and what you need to do to respond to customers more quickly. In fact, if you look at this Edison research study, you can see that 2/3 of consumers who mention you on Facebook and Twitter expect to hear from you the same day, while 4 in 10 expect to hear from you within an hour. Within an hour. This is the impact of time compression. And remember, this particular trend is even stronger among millennials, your customers of the future. So I hope I gave you a big bump today. It was my job to inspire you and prepare you for the future. But please keep in mind that there's one absolutely critical success ingredient that you need to have for innovation. And that is you have to have an open mind. I want you to remember the words of the immortal Robin Williams, who once said, "I went to rehab in the wine country just to keep my options open." That's the kind of open mind I want you to have, because that's the only way that you can let innovation come in, because that requires a welcoming change mindset. I thank you very much for listening. Please feel free to connect with me on all the social media, or email me or call me at 800-WAY-COOL. I'm available 24/7, 365. In fact, they call me 7-Eleven in the business because I'm open all night. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Michael. I believe, though, we may have a few questions for you.
I hope so.
Susie, do we have any questions for Michael?
We do, President Ces. So Danny Mai started us off by asking, with the advancement of technology, my page just moved, sorry.
All right.
Do you think it would make people more lazy?
Well, you know, look, in research, we divide the whole market into 5 dedicated segments. We call them quintiles. And I know it's fancy, but a quintile is a fifth, right? A fifth. So 5/5, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%. When you look at any research study, and this is the key thing that I always teach people who listen to me speak, is when you look at a study that says, for example, 42% of millennials are lonely, okay? That doesn't tell you anything, because that's the 2 quintiles, about 20%, 42%, that, you know, are probably going to always feel lonely. So in the market that you have out there, you're going to have people that say, okay, well, you know, work from home, WFH is the new, you know, WFT, is that that we can stay home. I'm going to be lazy. I don't have to get dressed up anymore. I'm going to take it easy. And then you have the other side of the coin where people say, hey, you know what? This is an opportunity to pound and seize the momentum and carpe diem, and they're off and running. And then they create that competitive pressure that pulls that bottom 40% of the market along. So again, I wouldn't expect a massive sea change shift after this pandemic is over, but I certainly would see residual lingering effects on people's attitudes and perceptual behaviors. For example, wanting much more hygienic restaurants. I think that's definitely going to stay in the psyche of the American mind.
Now we got another one, don't we? Anne Marie there asked, do you have any thoughts about the future of philanthropy and the nonprofit service segment?
Well, again, this is an interesting area because, when you think about it, we have had people who have been filthy rich, like Steve Jobs, and never, ever, ever gave any single cent to charity. And then you've got Tim Cook, his successor, who is openly donating. So again, it depends on the individual. It depends on where they are at. Again, the good news is that there are a legion of startups. There's one, and I forget what their name is, but they're based in New Orleans, that can help you set up a nonprofit really quickly, give you that status that you can go and use to raise funds. So again, a lot of the pain points that prohibit you from being an efficient nonprofit that raises money for charity purposes are going to be mitigated and will help a lot of people raise more money faster. And that's, the bottom line. Now, whether people are going to be more open to donating, I don't know. Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, put his first tweet for sale, you know that, right? As an NFT. Again, you can copy and paste it and keep it in your own, image anywhere you want. But someone has bid $2.5 million for this NFT. So he says he's going to donate that money to, I forget the organization, but it's an African help organization, because he's very interested in Africa. So again, there's people that are going to show and lead by example to do this. And hopefully we'll have a lot more of these billionaires. Jeff Bezos' ex-wife has just announced that she's going to give out the vast majority of her fortune to education. And I hope that we see more of that, but unfortunately we don't.
Okay. Got another question? One more question I think we can have.
And jump to Celeste Gordon's question.
Mm-hmm.
Have any examples of how these concepts play out in education, specifically public education?
Yeah, so again, as you can imagine, among venture capitalists, education is not necessarily the hottest sector, right? So it has kind of that inbuilt friction. But what happened during the pandemic is that they call it EdTech, educational technology companies, got a massive amount of uplift and momentum because people were stuck at home and kids needed to learn via the computer, and they were not well equipped and teachers didn't have software. And so as a result, there have been several unicorns. That means companies that are worth over $1 billion funded in the EdTech space. So I expect that to have a huge beneficial effect on the market. And I believe that will filter down eventually into public education. But again, I'm a reinventor, right? And I talk to everybody about the urgent need for more innovation in America. And it's a nonstop thing. We really need to put the pedal to the metal. Education needs to be reinvented. Government needs to be reinvented. Business needs to be reinvented. Even our technology sector needs to be reinvented. And so I'm out there and I'm continuously pushing for people to become more proactive about creating better and easier to use tools, which is why I could only come up with 2 out of the how many hundreds of thousands of tools you have out there that actually show some modicum of innovative user interface design. We need a lot more. It's a shame that we have, over 55,000 public companies in the United States, and that you can hardly name 10 that are very innovative. It's a shame, and we need to fix it.
Thank you, Michael, for being
Thank
our
you very
speaker
much for having
for
me.
today.
It's a pleasure to be here today. I enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it. This year, our club is making the homeless crisis in Oakland a priority. To that end, and as our gift to you for being our speaker for today, in your honor, we are making a donation to support our unhoused residents in Oakland.
Fantastic.
Additionally, we would like to give you our Centennial Book, which documents 100 years of service and friendship in the third oldest club in the Rotary world.
Cool.
Again, thank you, Michael, for being our speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Past President Robert Kidd, will you tell us about our speaker for our next Civic Thursday meeting? Robert Kidd.
Yes, Ces Butner. Ces Butner, you know, from Michael's talk today, we go back in time, back to the 1865, 1877 era known as Reconstruction. Eric Foner is the leading scholar in America on the topic, on the era of Reconstruction. And not only will he explain and talk through what Reconstruction was back then, but more importantly, he will talk about why Reconstruction is important to us today and how we're still living through the successes and the failures of that which took place 150 years ago. Eric is a professor at Columbia University. He'll be participating by Zoom long distance. So look forward to Eric Foner next week here at Rotary.
Thank you. And thank you, Lewis, for the thought for the day. Thank you, Daniel, for your 3-minute introduction. And thank you, Joel, for introducing our newest member, Nick. Thank you, Mark, for that message from High Adventure. And thank you, Allison, for introducing our speaker. And finally, a big welcome to Nick to membership in Oakland Rotary number 3, where service above self exists. Jesse, before I wrap up, do we have any bell ringers today?
We do, Seth. We have 3 bell ringers today. Ruth rang the bell for Daniel Freeman in his very interesting introduction. Michael Brook rang the bell for our new member, Nick, and the zoo. And Isaac Cosreed rang the bell for Nick and the zoo.
Very nice. And we thank you for that $100 gift to the Oakland Rotary Endowment. It's what a bell ring does for us. So I'd like to end this meeting as we always do, and that's the way it went on 5,331st Club meeting on March 11th, 2021 at Oakland Rotary number 3, third oldest Rotary Club in the world. Everyone remember, Rotary opens opportunities for service above self. And for now, this meeting of the Rotary Club of Oakland is adjourned.